there, everybody, and welcome back to the Winter Island, to, I can't even pronounce how this is called, so, whatever my title was. Welcome to another episode of the Winter Project, and, in today's episode, you can see me, building a little bit, on the shading options, or kind of creating the shader, I should say. This is achieved by Reshade. For those of you who haven't seen that yet, this is basically a little program that you can, download, and then you can add Mack Coaster, as one of the programs that this little kind of shading system will change, and so you can basically create some different looks in Mack Coaster. I've done this multiple times already with Isla Napali, so this is how I get the heat look done. And on the other side, obviously, you can make this very desaturated, very winter-ish look with a lot of gray and make it really look dark. But you can see now we are back to the normal LUT, I should say, and the thing is, it's way easier to build in the normal one, since you can't really use the reshade option with multi-sampling or with anti-analyzing, I should say, because that will break the fog system, and the adaptive fog is basically the most important one to make it really look dark and, you know, dizzy and stuff like that. So I'm really happy that this works, but I'm always, you know, I'm preferring to build in the normal look and not going into too much into the reshade look as a building time-lapse look. I just made it for what it will be the final video, so that we at least have something that is looking really like winter. And we are in the last episode, the last time-lapse episode of the Winter Project. I said that it's not going to be that big. The island is pretty much finished. All I'm going to add in this island is some stuff I won't do in the time-lapses for a good reason, since that would spoil too much what I'm doing in the final video. You should still be surprised what is coming along there. I was fearing a little bit that people would already be doing this when the TMT came out, but until today it seems that still no one has had the idea that me and Crapzone had, and so I'm very happy once I can finally release that to you guys. It's still a little bit of work. I won't say I'd get it out next week, maybe the week after, not too sure about that, since there's still a lot of work going into it. Basically there goes basically as much work into the fine-tuning now as it went already into building the main island. I also finally decided on not having people in the park, which is a pity. I'm super dissatisfied, and I'm super unhappy about this, and I'm disappointed that I can't use guests in the park, but it definitely breaks the illusion. There is no way, and there's no way in using guests here in the park, because it doesn't fit. I mean, I potentially would have used it beforehand when we didn't have the reshade option, since it's still sunny and stuff, and I would have needed to find a workaround anyways to make it look more dark and stuff. But hence we have reshade now. It basically allows me to create a really winterish looking area in the end, and also make it look really dizzy, really desaturated and stuff. And you know, people in shorts and shirts absolutely do not fit into this situation. So as I said, it's pretty bad. So it looks really empty, and it looks dead. It looks kind of weird to me, but there's not much I can do about it, because it's just this little bit of choice you have, whether you want to have this extra bit of realism having people here, or do you want to have the other extra bit of realism, and that's not having people here that wear shorts and shirts in an environment that potentially is minus degrees. And it's it's a little bit of a tricky thing. But hey, let's talk what we're doing about let's talk about what I'm doing in this episode actually. So you can see that I have been building this little house here on top of the mountain, and there was a little bit of change in plans, I have to say. So originally I wanted to have a little chapel on top of that mountain that people would actually go to, but then I figured it wouldn't make too much sense to have a chapel up here, since the island isn't really that big. The island is super small, and this would only be a little fishing harbor, so a lighthouse would have made more sense in my eyes. I'm still kind of maybe trying to bring a lighthouse in. Not too sure if I get it done in time, so that would be one of the bits I'm doing off screen. But this building over here is gonna be a lift hill building for the chairlift. That's basically for skiing, and I didn't want to make a skiing resort in the first place, but I figured that, you know, the way back into the area down there was basically created to make sure that people go uphill and use the chairlift. But when I made the decision that I won't have any guests in the park, I also made the decision that I don't really need a pathway downhill, and funny enough, it does look a lot better to have kind of a skiing route downhill. You will see that in the end, how this looks. For my taste, it does look way better than this weird pathway we have going down right now. For the final release of this park, I may be going to hide a path downwards somewhere, if needed, since otherwise people won't go on to that lift hill, which that chairlift. It's a bit of a pity. Guests won't use it, since they always need a path back, I guess. I was always hoping that you know, people would use it, but it seems not to. So yeah, as I said, we're going to have a skiing route here, and as you can see, this is a really small one. Like, it's, you know, I guess some cities even have a better skiing hall than this is in a real mountain. But I felt like maybe this has some history. Maybe this was one of the first and only skiing routes in that area, so people would actually go to this island to use this skiing route and just go uphill a few times to enjoy the skiing. As I said, it's not a major skiing route, it's just a little bit of a skiing area at max. Yeah, just to enjoy some basic skiing. But hey, I mean, it all has some sense, and as I said, it's not about making it all too awfully realistic. It's this winter project is all about the looks, and it should make it all look beautiful, and in the end it will look beautiful, at least what I can tell from my testing. I'm able to create a really beautiful looking video out of it, and that's what it's all for. It's basically this was a project on making the most detailed kind of set and film set possible, even though it's a real island and it's a real little thing that can be used. And so we are even adding another building over here, since I was feeling that this bit of land over here was too empty, so there was a need to add some more stuff in here. And yeah, I came up with a pretty much the most simple design possible, and I still wanted to make it look this tiny bit of Scandinavian-ish looking. I think I managed to somehow have this style included, even though the other buildings are way better. It just felt like I didn't want to carbon copy again, so I wanted to get in with something new, which I think worked out. It's not that great. It's not as you would say, okay, this is perfectly exactly what you need to do in an area like this, but I think it's also not wrong, right? Don't get me wrong, it not always has to be this perfect replica of what an area should look like. Sometimes it's even better to have something more unique to give your area the little bit of touch that it needs. And I still think that I potentially can get a little bit more, you know, confident with what I'm doing in Planet Coaster, and I feel like there is a certain Rudi style, and this certain Rudi style has to go also in this building, and I feel like this is potentially the building that has the most Rudi elements in here, because it's you know, it doesn't really contain itself within a certain style or whatever. At some point I just let loose and tried to make this building fit in a way that I liked it, without looking too much on to images that I saw. And in my mind and in my thoughts, and I don't know, in the last couple of days, there is also the need for maybe something more creative in the future again. Whether it's be in Planet Coaster or another game, I can't tell yet, but the much I like all these projects I have at the moment, and you know, they all work pretty decent, I have to say. I really feel like they finally are in a state that they are pretty much, yes, they are still creative, and I think it's still something that people like to watch and I like to do, but it is not, you know, it's not a Camel Kingdom. It's not a clockwork cards. I don't even know how I named this back then. It is not a floating island or whatnot. It's not like breaking the rules of the game again. Like, these are the things that really made me stand out, I guess, in terms of what I created with Planet Coaster and with games in general on YouTube. You know, it's not making a path layout that looks like a T-Rex like I did in Jurassic World Evolution. I think it's about time to finally try to break some rules again of a game and try to find something that is unique and hasn't been done before. I think this is what makes me strong. It makes things crazy and happy, and it is a nice experiment, and it's a nice feeling to make all these realism projects. I mean, this project is not about the realism in terms of functionality, as I said. It's more about the realism in terms of the looks, and it definitely is worth it. Even though I have to say that I'm more willing to have something that is more creative again. And as I'm preparing something City Skylines related, I can already tell that this is also a bit more creative. And potentially this will be my little endeavor where I'm going to do that, since I feel like this really has the potential to be that, where I can get it a little bit more creative and a little bit more loose on what I do. I think it's always great to found your things in real world examples, but creativity is something that works best when you drive yourself and you move yourself forwards into a terrain that you haven't been touched before or touching before. And as I said, the more you get into a project, the more it's kind of common soil, and it is something you have done quite a bit already, so it gets more and more used to, and so it's not that really giving you the feeling of, wow, this is completely out of my comfort zone, and I need to try out and test and do whatever. And this is hopefully what I will find with the new City Skylines project. That said, I'm definitely looking into something more unique in Planet Coaster again. I have some basic concepts, to be honest. I have some basic ideas, but they all are so time consuming that one single episode would take like 2 weeks or something. So this is not really what I can share with you, since that would break totally all boundaries I have and all limits I set myself. I also have a very weird idea for Parkitect. Maybe I'm gonna realize this someday, but yeah. So just as a final note on this project, I will do something else quite soon, but that's it with the Winter Island. So have a great day and see you next time. Bye bye.
We should be hiding out wherever we may find love that's flowing on.